Welcome to My Watches with Ben, where I talk about some of my affordable watches with all of you fine people. Today's watch is the Vostok Komandirskie 24-hour Polar. Model number is 650546. Here it is on my 7 1/4 inch wrist on the original bracelet. I'll cover the specs, the positives and negatives, and give my final thoughts. Let's start off with the specs. Specifications. The diameter on this watch is 41.5 millimeters to 43.5 millimeters, depending on whether you measure it. Right here across, directly across would be the 41.5. And then kind of up here where the case starts to stick out a little bit more, it's thicker. It's got a 20 millimeter lug width. It has a 15.2 millimeter thickness from the top of the crystal down to the case back there. The lug to lug is 49.1 millimeters. The water resistance is 200 meters with the screw down crown. It comes with a 12-month warranty. The case is stainless steel, and the bracelet is stainless steel. Other Vostoks sometimes have a brass case. It has an acrylic crystal on this Komandirskie. It comes with a bi-directional friction fit bezel that has no loom on it, and the friction fit just means that there's no clicks when you turn it. You can put it in any position you want. Interestingly, it has a 24-hour time format. The hours go 24. It uses the 32 joule Vostok 2431 movement. Another interesting Vostok feature is that the crown wobbles to protect the movement if the crown is stuck. This is intentional. So when you pull the stem out for winding or setting the time, the crown wobbles around there. Additionally, the case back is designed for the tightness of the seals to increase as the outside pressures increase. I don't know exactly how that works, but there's kind of a ring in there. You can sort of see it's got that ring, but that's supposed to increase the water resistance of this dive watch. The price is the price I paid was $66 from smears.com. It definitely took a long time to get here though, so that's a consideration. The model on their website shows a steel bezel insert, and this is for the model number 650546. It shows a steel bezel insert, whereas mine clearly has this white with an acrylic on top of it. So I didn't get the stainless steel insert. I actually like this better. But now let's go on to what I like and dislike. Positives. So I really like the size of this watch. On my 7 1/4 inch wrist, it fits really well. It doesn't feel like it's 15 millimeters thick. See that domed acrylic crystal sticks up a bunch. It has a good size. It's comfortable weight and feel to it. Even though the bracelet doesn't seem very refined, it's actually extremely comfortable. And personally, I love this friction fit bezel, that I can go either way with it, that it doesn't turn super easily, so it doesn't get knocked out of place. Mine is tight and it doesn't migrate. I like that. If you like the 24-hour time, which I really do, then this is a positive. I just think it's a lot of fun to look at time a little differently, so I love that. I really like the white dial on it and the navy blue printed numerals. I don't know if you can see, it's a blue there. The numerals are printed blue. I think that's a good color combo. The red accents are nice with the second hand, and then the commander with the star and the chevrons. I think that's what these are called. Anyway, the price is great. Obviously, that's a positive. If you end up paying $66 for it, this is a screaming deal in my opinion. And I mean, it's got an in-house movement, for goodness sake, and $66. And finally, I just think it has a ton of character, which I like. I don't want generic. I mean, sometimes generic's nice, but I really like a watch with individual character, and this one has it. Negatives. So the printing is not the best. It's probably not coming across that well, but the borders on the numbers are pretty grainy. The acrylic crystal, another negative is the acrylic crystal scratches very easily. Mine isn't all that scratched, but it does pick up scuffs very, very easily. It's a very soft crystal. The bracelet is objectively low quality here. It appears like it's three link bracelet, but these are fused together. The middle one is fused to the outside ones. And especially at the top here, you can see they just kind of did polishing in the center, and then there's brushing on the side to make it look like it's a 3-link bracelet. There's no curved end link here. It would be a funny curve anyway, but yeah, it's just the straight end link. This clasp is stamped here, so that's not ideal. I mean, I really like the bracelet's authenticity, but if I'm objective, it's not high quality. And it's got the push pin style sizing system, which I don't mind at all, but I know that's lower quality. The lume could also be better on this thing. It's not very bright, it fades pretty quickly. And another negative is the lack of any sort of lume on the bezel, excuse me. Because if you want to time something and see it when it's dark, well, you're out of luck. Or you could just let your eyes adjust. You could probably see because it's white, but you know, it's a negative that there's no lume on the bezel. That would have been nice. And this is just kind of a personal quirk. There is no 24 o'clock. There's 0 o'clock. So I always think that it should say 0 at the top with these kind of watches. It shouldn't say 24. That's my personal opinion. Aesthetic features, I guess that's an aesthetic feature. Reading the time is tricky. So right now it is almost 14 o'clock, almost 2 o'clock, but okay, what time actually is it? So what I have to do is I find the lume pip, and then I kind of have to count after it. Only the little dashes. So it would have been, so it's 13, you see how long it's taking me, 13:56 right now, because it's 55 here. What I've found is that if I just ignore the lume pips, it definitely helps. If I just look at the numbers are nice and big and bold, and that can help me to see like, oh, it's just past that number. Okay, so it's a little bit past 1:55. But the precision timekeeping, it's just hard for me to translate it into words when I'm looking at it. I'm trying to tell the time. The hour thing is definitely confusing, but the minutes, especially with these, the way that they did the in between the odd hours by doing a very bold hash mark here, that gets confused when you're looking at the minutes, because look, it's pointing directly at one of those bold hash marks, and you see the bold hash mark, but you have to totally disregard it in your mind because that's useless information for the minute hand. It's pointing right at it. So I kind of wish they had not put such prominent markings for the odd hours, because it really makes it confusing when you're trying to read the minutes. So, and this is a huge negative feature, or a negative aspect of this watch, is the date setting. So there is no quick set date function. So when you want to change the date, look, it says 20, goes over to 21. You have to go back to like 20 o'clock or something, and then you go again, and it goes to 22. You just have to do this again and again. And I have to think this isn't great for the movement to just be whipping it back and forth. But, you know, if I put this in the box, the last time I wore it was on the 25th or something, and then I want to wear it on the 14th, you know, that's a long slog to get the date right. So think more times than not, I'm just going to ignore the date on this particular watch because it is such an annoying thing to change the date. You know, you're going to devote a solid 5 minutes or something just to changing the date over to the correct date sometimes, unless you wear this all the time. But that's it for the negatives. So for the final thoughts, I absolutely adore this dive watch. I like the quirks such as the 24-hour timekeeping. I just find that fun. The watch is comfortable and unique. Despite all the negatives I listed, I find myself wanting to wear this one more than any other dive watch I have. I think that this is just my fondness for Russian culture. It just feels really authentic and cool. So that ends the watch portion of the video, and now I'd like to share a Bible verse with all of you. Okay, so I want to preface this by saying I'm not a pastor or a trained biblical scholar. I just want to share what this segment is just going to be, to share a particular verse, what it means to me, and talk about how it's blessed me. And today's verse is Psalm 119, verses 36 through 38. Incline my heart to your testimonies and not to covetousness. Turn away my eyes from looking at worthless things and revive me in your way. Establish your word to your servant who is devoted to fearing you. Turn away my reproach, which I dread, for your judgments are good. So one of the things this verse reminds me of is that you can't just cut out the bad stuff, i.e. the sin. You have to replace it with something good. For example, lust. Lust being bad. This passage says, turn away my eyes, i.e. remove the lust. However, it also says, incline my heart to your testimonies, i.e. spend time in the Bible and study. This phrase, establish your word, highlights the importance of scripture memorization. So the bad thing has to be replaced with something else. The final part about the reproach, turn away my reproach, which I dread, that reminds me that I feel bad when I sin. I dread it because I know that God's judgment of my sin is good. This passage gives me great comfort. So those are my thoughts. If you want some biblical teaching from actual pastors, I've linked a couple good ones in the comments, and I'll see you next time.